Okay. What I have today is a pre-made object. It's a little scene file I've set up, and it's just a head, more or less like a Muppet head. And we're going to try to make a Muppet rock star, kind of, he's bald right now. He's kind of Todd Rundgren-esque. And I'm going to give him a big blonde mane of hair here. And this is all easily accomplished with Fiber Factory. But what I'm really going to do is just run through and show you a few of the tools that can really get the most out of Fiber Factory. Fiber Factory is a plug-in for Modeler, and you can add a plug-in through the custom menu in the objects. When you install it, it will be stuck in the new tech directory, in the plugins directory, and in the Modeler plugins directory. Just double-click Fiber, and it's in. And what I'm going to do is import the head, tell you a few things about it. The geometry of the head was made with the meta-NURBS effect. It's just a cage of splines modeled, turned into polygons. And if you notice the polygons, the scalp is actually a separate surface, and it is colored the same as the hair. This is because hair cannot effectively be 100% dense. In any part where you see through, you're going to see through to this surface, and it will match up with the hair and look a lot more effective. When working with hair, you typically get tens of thousands of polygons. It's not uncommon to have 30,000 polygons, and they consist of 2-point polygons, which always render the same thickness, no matter how close or far they are from the camera. You can modify that to make cylinders or cubic shapes, but for this purpose, we're going to use just the thin 2-point polygons. And because we are going to have so much geometry here, I'm going to get rid of the point display, so we can no longer view points individually, and this will not affect what we are doing at all. We don't really need any other of these. If you don't have a killer screaming machine like this, you can turn off all these things we don't need to get a little more responsive display. I'm also going to turn on the OpenGL preview. Fiber Factory also works in units of meters, and just to get a better idea of how long you want your hair to be, I like to blow up the head. This is a rock star, so he's got a big head anyway. And I'm going to modify it. I know that if I use the numeric option and multiply all dimensions by a factor of 4, it's going to be approximately a 1-meter head now. What I'm going to do now is run through all the functions of Fiber Factory really quick so you can get a brief idea of what this can do. The file selection can load and save settings, basically all that's for. Geometry determines how many hairs are going to be dispersed upon the object or the selected polygons of the object. I usually work in clumps of about 800 fibers, 0.8 of a meter in length. Segment is how many divisions is in each hair. 6 to 12 is really good. The more you can afford to do, the better. The more convincing the hair will look, the more smooth it will flow. A little side note, Fiber Factory includes another plugin that goes with layout called Anchor. And what Anchor will do is make sure the base point of each hair stays glued to the head so that you can run displacement mapping on it and make the hair look like it's blowing in the wind or bouncing with motion. And you want the ends of each hair to stay put. So Anchor will do that only if your object has a consistent number of segments per hair on each hair. So we know that the segments are going to be 6 for every hair I build from now on. The surface name is hair, and that can be anything we want. We can assign how it looks later. Sides is 1. A one-sided hair is actually a 2-point polygon, which will render, like I said, in the single thickness no matter how close or how far we are from the camera. Fiber radius is irrelevant in this case, and fiber taper is where we go back and use more than one side per polygon. If we do a 2-sided hair, we get more of a ribbon. If we do a 3-sided, we'll get a triangular shape. If we do 4-sided, we start getting boxes. And more than that, we get more of a cylindrical shape. This can be useful for doing thicker hairs, for spring-type looking objects, or even if you do a 4-sided hair, make it rather large, you can get buildings. And you can use grow hair to make a whole cityscape. Fiber angle determines the rotation of the hairs. On a 2-point polygon, again, it's irrelevant. Now, effect is where things start to get fun. Contour strength determines how closely hair will form fit to a head, or any other object, actually. We don't really want to use contour in this case because I'm trying to get a big, bushy mane. But if you want other effects, if you want the hair to lay flat on the head, go ahead and apply a strength up to 1. It goes from 0 to 1. That'll make it lay flat. 0 makes it point straight out from whatever polygon is in use. Curl strength determines how quickly a hair will curl about its length. To get any kind of body out of a hairstyle, you should apply some curl. We're doing a haircut in reverse here, actually. 2 turns for about, well, this is rather long hair we're building, about 0.8 meters in this case. 2 turns is going to be about right, with a strength of 0.1, so it's a very gradual spiral. Now, kink strength is for high humidity days. This will add a zigzag to each hair. And jitter will add some randomization in each direction, X, Y, and Z. This is a value from 0 to 1. And now I'll leave that. Gravity determines how much the hair is pulled down by the effect of gravity. It's not necessarily a real world value, but 1 typically is scaled to work best, but you can go anywhere from 1 to, I think, 30-something thousand. Gravity only pulls in absolute directions, up, down, left, right, fore, and back. And there are some ways that we would want an option other than any of these directions, because the world is not a perfect world and we need hair to follow different shapes. I'll show you how to get around that in a second. Now, if I hit make and then OK, all the magic takes place, and we're going to have a big, undefined, messy head. Going to really quickly select all the hair and just give it some color, just so it shows up a little better for the time being. Okay. Now, we don't really want that. We're not making thing here. So we delete all the hairs. Okay. Now, when building hair, I find it's best to work from the back to the sides, to the front, and then on top. Do it section by section. We don't necessarily need to know exactly where the scalp is, but if you do want to know, I can select all scalp polygons with the W key, find the surface I want, hit plus. Going to go back here, select section in the back, and get a little bit here. Go to my custom menu, Fiber Factory, make, OK. Let's see if we're just, yeah. OK, so now we're getting the idea. Now, I was talking about how the gravity, we don't always want to go straight down. I'm going to make it so that we can get the hair to contour a little bit better. It's a subtle difference that makes all the difference when building a model. I'm going to go into the Modify menu, rotate the head forward just a few degrees, just like the barber will tell you. Tilt your head forward. Just a few degrees. And now the hair, when it comes down, it will still go straight down, but we're going to rotate the hair back again. Put it all relative to the head again. That will also be straightened out later. And then it will look like the hair is coming down with some natural flow and curl to it. Select that same area approximately. Tools menu. Keeps all my same settings. Fire away. Okay, now I want to select only the hair, not the area of the scalp I had. Cut it out of this layer. I'm going to paste it into another layer so I can work on this section by section. That way, if I screwed up somewhere along the way, I can go back, fine-tune just that one section. If I have say, the perfect bangs, but the back of the hair is just a mess, we can go back and redo just the back section. Holding down Shift and putting that in the background layer, the inactive layer, I can see where I've worked before. I'll go back here, get another section just above, a little over the ear. Going for that layered look, and we keep the same exact settings again. Select all the hair only, cut it out of this layer, paste it into this layer. Okay, now, right now, all the hair is at that 5-degree angle that I set earlier. I'm going to start changing that. So I want to make sure I have all the layers active, modify, rotate. I've got to counter my 5-degree tilt with a -5. And now you can see the bottom of the hair has a slight taper going forward. I recommend a value from 5 to 15 depending on what you want. If you want something different where the hair flips out and back, tilt the head back. The hair will, compensate when you rotate the whole object back again. I'm going to get the bangs here. Going to Fiber Factory again. Geometry, we don't really want the bangs. Grandmother doesn't like our hair in our eyes, so we're going to cut it down to maybe 0.5. I'm going to actually reduce the gravity so that it's a little bit fluffier in the front. Hit Make, and we should get something reasonable here. Okay, and finally, this is the one-step route to get the Warhol, Andy Warhol look. Keeping pretty much the same settings I just did for the bangs. In this case, we will do that. Go ahead and make the top of the head. So one step, I don't know, Andy Warhol look here. Select only the hairs, cut them out of this layer, and paste them into this layer. Now if I select all the hair, there's our hairstyle. Select it with the head. Okay, now we've got a nice shaggy guy here. We can't see his eyes at all. Two techniques to styling the hair now. We have magnetic combing and pull-to styling. Now the pull-to styling is in the Modify menu. This, again, affects only the motion of polygons or the movement of points in one axis only. Now, if we wanted to shape this head so that it looks like it was on a real-world head, or select the area from the top down, not including the top. We want that to remain pretty much the same. I'm going to taper the hair in using the pull command, and start with the X at 0, right mouse click, and drag in. You can drag in a considerable amount to get just a little effect. Right there makes a whole lot of difference. And in the back, we can do a very similar effect. Don't necessarily need to be at 0 for this. Okay. And now, I'm going to use the magnetic combing to pull the hair up out of the eyes. And let's part it a little bit so we can actually see what he has of eyes on this object. Let's just get the very corner of the front of the bangs, pull over and back. Do a similar thing here, over, back, one mouse click. the head in place.